Welcome back to Tales by WZ. In today's story, we explore a man whose fiancée calls off their wedding at brunch, then expects him to rescue her from $62,000 of wedding debt she chose to take on alone. As you listen, notice the moment where you would have walked away. My fiancé said, "I just don't love you." I replied, "Then we're done." Then I stood up, took the ring back, turned our reception into a dodged-a-bullet party, and I just watched as she faced $62,000 of wedding debt alone while her family blamed me. I am 31, and this happened on what was supposed to be a normal Sunday. My fiancé is 29. We had been together for years, engaged for 8 months, and our wedding was 6 weeks away. As far as I knew, things were normal. We were talking about seating charts, playlists, and honeymoon plans. Nothing felt like a crisis. That morning, she suggested brunch with her 3 closest friends. "It will be fun and relaxed," she said. "Nothing special." So we went. We were at a nice restaurant, mimosas flowing, everyone laughing. The talk was light. Bridesmaid dresses, hairstyles, shoes. It felt like any other pre-wedding hangout. In the middle of a sentence, she went quiet, not distracted, not half listening, just shut down. Her friends noticed. "Are you okay?" one of them asked. My fiancé took a deep breath and looked straight at me. "I need to say something," she said. I thought maybe she wanted to change the venue or was stressed about money or even that she might be pregnant. Instead, she said in a calm voice, "I cannot do this anymore. I am calling off the wedding. I do not love you anymore." Just like that, in front of her 3 friends, while the waiter was setting down my eggs Benedict, her friends gasped. One covered her mouth, another whispered, "Are you serious?" I sat there for about 10 seconds. My brain was trying to catch up, then everything inside me went still. Sometimes when someone drops a bomb like that, your emotions shut off so you can see clearly. "Thank you for your honesty," I said. I held out my hand. "The ring, please," she blinked. "What?" "The engagement ring," I said. "It is mine. It was my grandmother's. I would like it back." Her friends were watching like it was a live show. She slowly took off the ring and handed it to me. I put it in my pocket and stood up. "Well, this changes plans," I said. "I was going to host a wedding reception in 6 weeks. Now I will be hosting a dodged-a-bullet party instead. Same venue, same catering, same open bar. You are all still invited." Her friends giggled. They thought I was joking. When people think you will always be soft, they laugh at the first sign of a boundary. Then I added, "About the wedding expenses. The $62,000 in deposits you insisted on putting in your name to prove you are an independent modern woman. Those are all yours now. Good luck with that. Also, you will need to move out of my apartment by the end of the month since you refused to sign a lease." The giggles died fast. Her face went white. "Wait, what?" she said. "Your name is on everything," I said. "The venue, the catering, the photographer, the flowers. You insisted. You said it was important for your credit and your independence." "So congratulations on your independence," one of her friends whispered. "Oh no." "And one more thing," I said, pulling out my phone. "My uncle was planning to give us $150,000 as a wedding gift. It was set up, but only if we actually got married, so that is gone too." I dropped $40 on the table for my untouched food. "Enjoy brunch, ladies," I said. "I have a party to plan." Then I walked out. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, hands shaking. But under the shock, I still knew I meant every word. This was the first moment where I could have begged and chased. Instead, I chose to protect my self-respect. 3 days later, the fallout started. About 2 hours after brunch, my phone began lighting up. Her friends, her mom, her sister. Everyone suddenly remembered my number. Her mom called first. "You cannot just abandon her with all that debt," she said. "You were planning to get married. That money was for both of you." "She called off the wedding," I said. "The expenses are in her name because she insisted. I am not legally or morally obligated to pay for a wedding that is not happening." "She made those deposits assuming you would help," her mom said. "She made those deposits assuming we would get married," I replied. "She ended the engagement. There are consequences." Her mom started crying, called me heartless, and hung up. Then her sister texted me. She is having a panic attack. The wedding costs are going to ruin her. Are you really going to let that happen? I wrote back. Is she really going to call off a wedding in public and expect me to fund it? Yes, I am going to let her deal with that. Then I blocked her sister. When every message is just another way to say pay up, there is nothing left to discuss. On Monday, my ex came to my apartment building. I have cameras, so I watched her buzz the door for 15 minutes before I picked up the intercom. We need to talk, she said. No, we do not, I said. Please, she said. I made a mistake. I was overwhelmed. We can work this out. You said you do not love me anymore, I said. Remember brunch? I did not mean it like that, she said. I was just scared. You meant it enough to say it in front of your friends, I said. You meant it enough to blindside me in a restaurant. You own those words. What about the wedding costs, she said. What about $62,000 in debt? You have to help me. I cannot pay that on my own. You should have thought about that before calling off the wedding, I said. This is financial abuse, she said. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the spin was so extreme. You put everything in your name, I said. You made that choice. I'm just not bailing you out of your consequences. I will sue you, she said. For what? I asked. Not marrying you. She stood there crying for another 10 minutes. I did not move. Sometimes silence is the only answer that makes sense. On Tuesday, her maid of honor called. Look, she handled this badly, she said, but she is drowning. Can you help with at least some of the deposits? Why would I do that? I asked. Because you loved her, she said. Past tense, I replied. She ended that at brunch. She is going to lose her apartment, she said. She cannot pay rent and wedding debts. That is unfortunate, I said, but I did not create that problem. How can you be so cold? She asked. How could she call off a wedding in front of her friends? I said. We all make choices. She tried guilt for 20 more minutes. I told her I was done and hung up. This is where many people cave just to stop the noise. I decided not to. Wednesday morning, an email came from a lawyer, her lawyer. He demanded I pay my share of the wedding expenses, saying they were made with a mutual understanding that we would share the cost. My lawyer replied. The expenses were entered in her name at her insistence. She called off the wedding on her own. No shared financial responsibility existed. We declined. Her lawyer sent a longer email, threatening to sue for promissory estoppel and unjust enrichment. My lawyer called me. She has no real case, he said. Expenses in her name. She ended it. If she sues, we will defend. Any judge will likely toss it. How much would it cost to defend if she pushes it? I asked. Maybe $5,000 to $10,000, he said, but I doubt it will go far. Defend everything, I said. I am not giving her a cent. Here is what people around her kept missing. She did not just cancel a wedding. She staged a moment to shock and embarrass me. When that went wrong, she tried to recast herself as the victim and make me the safety net again. I sent out invites for the dodged a bullet party. Simple bar, nothing fancy. About 30 people said yes. My family, close friends, even 2 of her friends who told me privately she had gone too far. It cost me about $800 for the space and some food. A lot cheaper than $62,000. 10 days after brunch, things got heavier. Her family went full pressure mode. Her father got my direct office line and called. You are destroying my daughter's life over pride, he said. Your daughter destroyed her own life with her choices, I said. She ended the wedding. She signed the contracts. She made a mistake, he said. People make mistakes, and people face the results, I said. That is part of being an adult. I am offering to mediate, he said. You pay half, she pays half, clean slate. No, I said. Why are you being so stubborn, he asked. Because she called off our wedding at brunch in front of her friends, I said. Now she wants my money to fix it. That is not stubbornness, that is self-respect. We cannot afford to help her with all of it, he said. We have our own bills. Then she will need to figure it out herself, I said, like the independent modern woman she wanted to be. He tried to threaten me. Said he knew people. Said I would regret this. I told him I record my calls in a one-party consent state and hung up. Suddenly, he had less to say. On Friday, a mutual friend gave me the missing detail. The real reason she called it off. She had been talking to a guy from her gym for 3 months. Not physically, at least according to what I heard, but emotionally. She told him she was in love. She called off the wedding to pursue her happiness with him. Then he heard about the $62,000 in debt and the drama. He ghosted her. No more messages. No more plans. So now she was alone, broke, and panicking. Her sister waited for me in the lobby of my building when I came home from work. "We need to talk," she said. "No, we do not," I said. "Please, 5 minutes," she said. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We sat in the lobby. "She is falling apart," her sister said. "She has lost weight, cannot sleep, and collectors are calling. She knows she messed up, but this punishment does not fit the crime." "What punishment?" I asked. "I am not doing anything to her. I am just not saving her from choices she made." "You could help," she said. "You have the money." "I do," I said. "Money I still have because I did not call off my own wedding and take on debt I cannot pay." "She thought you would always be there for her," she said. "She was right," I said, "until she dumped me at brunch in front of her friends. That changed things." "What about the $150,000 from your uncle?" she asked. "Cannot you ask him to give it anyway?" "You want me to ask my uncle for $150,000 to hand to my ex-fiancée who ended our wedding so she can pay off debt she chose," I said. "That is not going to happen." "You are being cruel," she said. "I am being fair," I said. "She made big choices. She gets big consequences." I stood up. "We are done here," I said. "Do not come back." She started crying in the lobby. I went upstairs. It sounds harsh, but sometimes the only way people learn is when the person they rely on finally steps away. On Tuesday, I got a friend request on Facebook from the gym guy. Curiosity won. I accepted. He messaged right away. "Dude, I had no idea she was engaged. She told me she was single. Just wanted you to know," he wrote. "Thanks for the info," I replied. "She has been telling people I ruined her life." "I did not call off the wedding." "Yeah, that is what I figured," he wrote. "She is intense. Good luck." Then he unfriended me. Smart move. On Wednesday, the legal part escalated. Her attorney filed a real lawsuit, breach of promise, unjust enrichment, intentional infliction of emotional distress. They threw in every phrase they could. My lawyer was calm. "This is a nuisance suit," he said. "She is desperate. We will file to dismiss. The facts are bad for her." "How much will it cost?" I asked. $8,000 to $12,000 if it somehow goes to trial," he said, "but I doubt it will. Judges do not like this kind of case when the facts are like yours." "Do what you need to do," I said. Thursday evening, she slipped into my building when someone held the door open. She went straight to my apartment and started pounding on the door. "Open up. We need to talk," she yelled. I called building security. They walked her out while she screamed about how I was destroying her life and that she had rights. The manager called me later. "We have documented this," he said. "She is now banned from the property. If she comes back, we call the police." "Thank you," I said. He paused. "I have to ask," he said. "What did you do to her?" "I did not marry her," I said. He laughed. "Fair enough," he said. "Friday, I finished the party planning, final head count, 32 people. I got a banner printed that said, 'Dodged a bullet, a celebration.' My mom asked if I was sure. 'Is this not too harsh?' she said. 'Mom,' I said. She called off our wedding at brunch with her friends there. They laughed when I said I would throw a party instead. Now I am throwing the party. That is not harsh. That is follow through.' 'All this fighting over money,' she said. 'She put the expenses in her name,' I said. 'She called off the wedding. She is dealing with her own choices. I am not being cruel, I am just not being a doormat,' she sighed. 'Your father thinks you are handling this well,' she said. 'Thanks,' I said. The next night the party happened. It was exactly what I needed. 32 people came. Friends, family, co-workers, and a couple of her friends who had reached out to say they finally saw how badly she handled it. The banner was a hit. We took photos in front of it. The bar poured drinks, food came out, and we laughed a lot. My best friend gave a toast. 'To our friend,' he said, who dodged not just a bullet but a whole firing squad and had the spine not to pay $62,000 for the privilege of being dumped at brunch. Everyone cheered. It felt less like revenge and more like a reset. Sometimes joy is its own statement. I posted a few photos on social media. No tags, no names, just happy people and a caption about new beginnings. She saw them, I know, because her mom called the next day. "How dare you mock my daughter publicly," she said. "I threw a party with my friends," I said. "I did not mention her once." "That banner and those posts," she said. "You are humiliating her." "She humiliated herself," I said. "I am just living my life." "She is talking about bankruptcy," her mom said. "Do you understand that?" "Yes," I said. "That is what happens when you take on $62,000 in debt you cannot afford and you lose the person who was going to stand beside you." "You could stop this," she said. "Help her with some of the money." "Why?" I asked. "She did not just break up with me. She did it at brunch in front of her friends. She put everything in her own name to prove independence. She tried to sue me and paint me as the villain. I do not reward people who treat me like that. Pick a reason." She hung up, crying. The lawsuit was dismissed last week. The judge looked at the facts, heard that she ended the engagement and signed all the contracts alone, and tossed it. He told her lawyer to advise his client to stop wasting the court's time. "It cost me $9,200 in legal fees. I still think it was worth it. Sometimes you pay money just to keep your life clean." She tried one last angle. She went to my parents' house. My dad answered. According to him, she came in crying, asking him to talk sense into me. Said she was going to lose everything. Asked if my parents could give her the money since we were basically family. "What did you say?" I asked him later. "I said you called off the wedding. You are not family and my son does not owe you anything," he said. Then I closed the door. "Thanks, Dad," I said. "Son, I am proud of how you handled this," he said. "A lot of men would have caved under that kind of pressure. You stood your ground." Right now, my ex is living back with her parents. She had to break her apartment lease, paying more fees. She is working 2 jobs to pay down the wedding debt. Her credit is wrecked. She has filed for debt consolidation. It is not going well. Do I feel bad? Not really. She chose every step. She chose to put the expenses in her name. She chose to call off the wedding publicly. She chose to try to bully and sue me. I chose not to save her from herself. Me, I am doing fine. I got my grandmother's ring back and am thinking about selling it. I do not need the memory attached to it. My apartment is quiet and peaceful. I have started dating again slowly. Work is going well. Financially, I am out about $10,000 total between lawyer fees and party costs. She is out $62,000 plus her own legal fees, moving costs, and a wrecked credit score. Someone asked me recently if I would ever help her now that it is all settled, if watching her struggle made me want to step in. The answer is no. Not even a little. Because for me, this is not about the money, it is about respect. She disrespected me in one of the worst ways she could, then expected me to fund her way out. She wanted to call off the wedding. That is her right. She wanted to do it at brunch in public. That was her choice. She wanted to put every bill in her own name to prove independence. That was her plan. She does not get to do all that and still get my money. She picked independence. She got it. Here is what I learned. Lesson 1. When someone shows you who they are under pressure, believe them the first time. Public humiliation is not an accident. Lesson 2. If a person insists on putting everything in their own name to prove independence, it is not your job to catch them when that independence gets expensive. Lesson 3. You are not required to fund the consequences of choices you did not make, no matter how much pressure their family or friends apply. Lesson 4. Saying no to being used is not cruelty, it is self-respect. People who call that cruelty are really telling you how they plan to use you. Lesson 5. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is let other people solve their own problems, even when it looks ugly from the outside. Lesson 6. A party that celebrates you dodging a bad future can be the start of a much better one. Closure does not always look like a quiet goodbye. Sometimes it looks like you, smiling, surrounded by people who actually respect you. What would you have done in this situation? If your fiancée told you at brunch, in front of her friends, that she did not love you anymore, would you still feel responsible for the wedding debt? And have you ever had someone try to turn their problem into your duty? Share what you did, or what you wish you had done, in the comments.